Let's see if we are alive yet. I don't know. Are we live? Are we live? Oh, I see Mary has replied to something. I don't think she was replying to my if we were live or not, but we'll find out. Hi, folks. How are you all doing today? I am Brian,
I'm Amber.
and here's our November live stream. So I hope you're all having a great day so far, and I hope that this wasn't a disaster. Like I scheduled this like the last minute. I'm like, this probably was not the best way of going about things. So why don't we get started here? We'll go ahead and start with the stories then. This one is a little bit of a mess, folks. It does involve some financial abuse, and so it is a bit of a heavy story. So let's get started. But it's also wild. Am I the jerk for not doing anything for Christmas this year and making my husband livid? Oh, loud and clear. I'm glad to hear that we're loud and clear. So, I'm a stay at home mom with 3 kids. My husband works full time and gets an okay salary, but he's tightened the grip on spending for the last 4 months to be able to save up and go watch the football events overseas. He's literally obsessed with anything to do with football. He said that he rarely gets to do what he wants to do, and so I didn't want to judge him since it's his money eventually. We discussed plans for Christmas, and he told me to handle everything since he won't be back until December 20th. He told me that he had put aside money for Christmas, December, and decorations, food gifts, the kids' needs, etc. The money in total was $100. That's right, folks. $100 for all of that stuff. I was completely shocked. I told him that $100 for an entire family Christmas celebration was ridiculously not enough. He shrugs and said that it's all he's got. But I pointed out that he's paying for his friends' and girlfriend's travel expenses. He told me just to take it. But I said that if he decided to leave me with just $100, then I won't be doing anything for Christmas. We had a lot of arguments and couldn't get it resolved. Well, he's in Qatar now. He left days ago, yesterday, while I was cleaning, and I found an envelope with the same $100 and a note from him telling me to, quote, make it work. I sent him a message that I've decided that I won't be doing anything for Christmas with this little money, period. He was livid and just kept sending angry messages and another calling me spoiled and telling me to stop expecting to live like I was still living in my parents' house and to stop trying to rob the kids of enjoying the holidays for the whole $100 like the other kids. Like the other kids and their $100 between them. I haven't replied, but he's livid, saying that I'm punishing him for going and trying to guilt trip him and using his own money. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Absolutely
Oh, it's
not the jerk.
and June joined us today. Hi, June.
So OP, if you can like go stay with your parents for a little while, I would, or some other. It's because it sounds like you have parents,
Yeah,
or some other family or friend. Like, I would recommend getting out of this situation. Like, this is not his money. This is both of your money since
yeah,
you are providing the service of being a stay-at-home parent.
yeah.
And the fact that he is spending basically a month in foreign countries and he's
Mm-hmm.
funding himself and 2 friends, and he leaves you $100 to plan a Christmas celebration for 5 people.
Yeah,
And he seems like the type of person who's going to be like, if this isn't like up to his standards because you could only buy dollar store food and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
presents, he's gonna like be like, you ruined Christmas for our family, because he's already blaming you for robbing the kids of Christmas. Like,
yeah.
so like, this is not a healthy relationship. And if you have a place you can go, I would recommend not being with this man anymore. He does not seem like a good partner.
Yeah, Mary says, "Wow, Daddy, warlocks." I'm gonna say it like that. I know she means warbox, but I'm gonna say warlocks because I prefer that spelling. And living in the parents' house sounds
It
preferable.
really does.
And not the jerk. Does hubby plan for the $100 to include presents for him?
Probably.
Probably.
You know?
Like everyone's gonna go to the dollar store. Everyone's gonna pick out five $1 gifts, and that's the way it's gonna go. But what do you folks think? Is he really a third wheel in this trip? Is he really paying for his friend and his friend's girlfriend, or do you think that potentially his friend's girlfriend is just a cover for his girlfriend?
It's very telling that he doesn't pay for his wife and kids to go on a trip with him.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's not paying for the wife and kids, but he's paying for a friend's girlfriend. And I'm gonna put that in quotes because I'm gonna build a narrative here that, despite it probably may be true, maybe false, who knows? But I'm gonna go with it. And of course, Mary says toys from 99-cent store, kids, yeah, and of course autocorrect, yeah. So I'm sorry, Mary. I wasn't trying to make fun of it. I just thought it was funny that it was Daddy Warlocks. I just liked it. So that's my thoughts here. I think that he's probably yeah. And she says that, oh, that would be shady. It would be. Like I do think it's a cover story. I really do. So let's move along to the next story here. So this one isn't as bad as the title makes it sound. This is actually a kind of funny story. And it's, am I the jerk for swearing at my child? So before you jump to conclusions, please read the entire article. So my wife, Ashley, a 35-year-old female, and I, a 36-year-old male, have a 6-year-old daughter, Susie. Susie is a very sweet child who rarely gets into trouble. Anyways, one day, Ashley and Susie were out having a girls' night with Ashley's mother, and I was out with my brother for some drinks. When I got home that night, I noticed that they hadn't made it, so I decided to take a shower and watch a movie. During the movie, I started hearing strange noises, so me being a manly man, I went to investigate. I opened the door to our room and I looked in the hallway, but didn't see anything, so I let it go and I went back to my movie. Well, a few minutes later, I hear it again, and I went back to check again, only this time I actually went into the hallway. As I'm walking towards the living room, I hear footsteps behind me and turn around to see a little tiny Chucky doll with a knife running towards me. I scream and I swear, some words that can't be used on YouTube, and ran only to trip and bang my knee on the floor, and this time I yelled some more obscenities. Then Ashley comes around the corner laughing, and Chucky takes the mask off to reveal our daughter is also laughing. So that was the origin story. The problem is now that Susie won't stop using bad language. We've tried to get her to stop, but now we're getting phone calls from her school. One teacher in particular said that Susie learned those words because, quote, my daddy screamed at me. That was the whole entire mess to deal with. I'm sure you can imagine what they thought of us. My wife is angry with me and telling me it's all my fault and that our family is being embarrassed and that she is being called a horrible mother because of it. And before the rumors start, no, we do not curse around our daughter. She only started swearing after the incident. Also, I will take any advice on how to get her to stop. So, yeah. Mary says not the jerk, that was accidental, and June says that was hilarious.
Yeah, I want to say that OP is not the jerk here. Like, you didn't go out of your way to swear. It just was an accident because you are being chased by Chucky. Like, if there's a time to swear, like when you're being chased by a tiny murderer, or a big murderer, any kind of murderer, that's probably the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just, like, I can't even imagine, like, oh, there's Chucky in my house chasing me with a knife.
Yeah.
And so, it was an accident, and it's kind of funny, and hopefully you can clear this up with the school. And
I think if you sit down with the teachers and explain the situation to them and explain this story to them, the teachers are probably going to get a kick out of it, and they're going to be understanding, and just explain to them that it was, of course, you're not swearing around your daughter or swearing at her. It's just very, very circumstantial, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts here. I don't think that OP's the jerk. I think that this is just a matter of communication, and I don't know that the wife should be blaming them either, because it was, again, kind of involuntary.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary says maybe OP can come up with a fun substitute like fire truck. Yeah, I mean, maybe using bad language it's a good time to start not using bad language if you know your kid's gonna pick up on it. So that's my thoughts. All right, folks, let's move along to our next story. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Blowing Up at My Girlfriend for Decorating My House for Christmas Without My Consent? So, I've been seeing this girl, Mandy, for a few months now, and she's recently moved in with me into my place. Well, days ago, I had to travel out of town for work and came back yesterday. The minute I walked in, I was shocked to see that she had decorated almost the entire house for Christmas. There were bright, colorful stuff hanging everywhere. She put little deer models on every shelf, little pine trees, and little gnomes on every window. Wrapped up the curtains with bows, put Christmas mats in front of the door, gingerbread signs on the walls and doors, Santa Claus themed cups, plates, and even pillows, containers stuffed with cookies and candy canes. It felt so nauseating, to put it civilly. I called her and had her get off of work and come home immediately. When I called out, her response was what? It was supposed to be a surprise. I thought you would like it. I said no, because for one, I'm an atheist and I don't celebrate this holiday, or any other holiday for that matter, but Christmas in particular, it makes me anxious and gives me depression. And also, I did not give her my consent to turn our place upside down like that. She had a breakdown and began crying and saying that she put so much time, money, and effort into decorating the place, and said that lots of non religious people celebrate Christmas as one of the country's largest holidays. She said that even if I don't approve of it, she does, and since she's living here and helps pay rent, she also gets a say. I said wrong because it was my place and my house, and she only moved in a couple months ago. We had a huge and probably the biggest fight so far, and she went to stay with her friends and has yet to return nor respond to my calls. One of her friends did reach out to call me a jerk for how I reacted and for yelling at Mandy and making her feel bad for doing a nice gesture to make my home warm and lit this season. Not gonna lie, I laughed at the words that she used, but nonetheless, she might have a point that I acted horribly towards Mandy. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk? And hello, TSC, the AFK Panda.
I am definitely going to say that OP is a jerk here. Now, I don't have enough information on the girlfriend to like say like if she knew specifically he doesn't celebrate Christmas and made everything Christmassy, then that would be a little bit of a jerk move. But one, telling her it's not her house. Well, one, calling her out of work, like
Yeah,
the minute she come home from work.
I mean, I think that there's certainly like I think he's entitled to not want to celebrate this, but I think that
Yeah,
this is like something that they should have kind of sat down and talked about ahead of time. But I also think that I think they're both making a lot of demands.
well, I was gonna get to her in a second. So, like, I think he is the big jerk here because one, he called her out of work, so
Hmm.
presumably she potentially lost pay. And then two, starts like telling her this isn't your house, even though she
Yeah,
lives here and pays rent, so it is her house. Like, it seems like he wants this to be all the benefits of this being his house, but with someone else paying the rent.
yeah.
Um, and so I think that like if she did not know he celebrates Christmas, she may have made I wouldn't necessarily say it was a
Hmm.
jerk thing. She may have been genuinely trying to surprise him, but if she
Yeah.
knew he didn't celebrate Christmas, then I would say that would put her into more of a jerk
Yeah,
territory.
I think it really depends on what she knew, to be
Mm-hmm.
quite honest. If she knew that he hated Christmas, and it sounds like she
Yeah,
didn't,
it sounds like
right?
she didn't, because if she did, that would be a jerk move to decorate someone's house for Christmas and be like, I thought you would love it.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like she thought he would genuinely be appreciative,
Hmm.
which is why I'm thinking she was trying to do a good thing. And you still shouldn't, like, necessarily decorate an entire house without your partner's consent because it's both of your house. But she does have right to have Christmas stuff in her house. So, like,
Yeah,
maybe over the
yeah.
top decorating the whole house, but this does raise questions about, is this the right relationship for the two of you if Christmas means so much to her and you want nothing to do with it?
Yeah. And Mary says, not the jerk and not the Grinch. Not everybody wants the holiday frou-frou. 2 yeses, 1 no. June says, I think that he's a jerk and he should have talked about it first. And TSC, the AFK Panda, says, exactly. Both of you are correct. You should tell people so they know not to do something, and paying rent. OP is a jerk. And Mary says, some people get awfully tired of excessive decked halls. And I mean, I certainly think that he certainly is welcome not to celebrate the holidays. But she is right that a lot of people who are non-religious also celebrate these holidays. And I do know that, like, it can also get excessive. Some people, like, that sounded like an awful lot of Christmas spirit. And certainly for somebody who's maybe even potentially traumatized by religion and the symbols of Christmas, he sounds like he may have some trauma around that, and it may be something that he has a hard time dealing with. So I can certainly understand why he would feel upset, but I think he kind of handled it in a poor way, and I think that it's certainly, they could both use a lot more communication in the future.
Yeah.
So, but she did spend a lot of time, money, and energy decorating, and yeah, I mean, certainly it's unfortunate that he didn't appreciate it, but again, like, he doesn't like the holiday, right?
Yeah, well, and I may be extra sympathetic because I am more of a Mandy. I want, I want glitter and sparkles everywhere. I already have Holiday Barbie 2022 and the Pokemon Holiday Advent Calendar ready to go. So, like, I may be biased.
And Mary says that she's the resident curmudgeon, and June says, sounds like they have to talk about it.
Yeah,
right,
I think that's the bigger issue, is that they have fundamentally different ideas of Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And maybe to a little less controversial one. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? I Let the Dog Eat My Wife's Dinner. And I'm going to warn you folks, he's terrible. Last week, our 5-year-old son caught a fever in the late afternoon at school and had to be picked up from school. It had to be picked up. School rules say that he can't go back the next day, and I'm looking at the wrong screen, and that's why I was getting confused there. I'm sorry, folks. Let me get back to the groove here. School rules say that he can't go back the next day, even if the fever breaks, so one of us has to be home with him on Wednesday. Wife has a meeting that she needs to be at from 7 a.m. to 9:45 a.m., and I can't take partial time off for her, and she can't take partial time off to be with him. She'd have to go to the meeting, take a full day, and then come home around 10 a.m. when I could leave for work. My schedule allows for more flexibility. I can work from home, so I told her that I would stay in the morning and she should call me after the meeting, and we could decide if I could remain in home for the rest of the day or if I would need to leave for the office. My morning went smoothly. She called after her meeting, and we decided that she would stay rather than burn a day off since she had already been there for several hours. I was able to work from my laptop and the field calls while our son was watching movies and rested. At noon, I started making our lunches, which for me was leftover pizza. As I was placing the lunches down, I received a call that I had to take, so I told my son that I would be right back, and I ran out of the room. When I finished the call, I noticed that one of my slices of pizza was gone, and our dog, who had clearly just finished eating it, was licking the floor. I was very annoyed because I was looking forward to it and missed out because I had to leave the room due to working from home with our son. Well, later that night, we were getting ready for dinner, and all of our plates were at the table when one of the boys asked my wife to get them something. She pushed her chair out and went back into the kitchen. I watched our dog jump up onto her chair and snatch a mouthful of food off her plate and run off. She came back from the kitchen, saw her plate, and asked what happened. I explained that just like what happened to me earlier, the dog had snatched food from her unattended plate. She got upset and asked why I hadn't stopped the dog. I explained that I had already made a sacrifice in my day to help her out, and no one stopped the dog from eating my food. Why should I have to stop the dog from eating hers? All she had to do was push her chair in, and she knows the dog will try to steal food. She said that was ridiculous, and I was being a jerk. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I think he's the jerk. Like, your wife wasn't, it's not like your wife was there guarding your pizza for you and just let it go. Like, it sounds like you really resent that you had to take care of your son,
Yeah.
but that's what you signed up for being a parent,
Yeah.
is taking care of your kids sometimes. Like, I know it's not fun, and it sucks the dog ate your pizza, but like, why punish your wife then?
Whose team are you on, OP? You know? Like, the point of a partnership, the point of being in a relationship is that you two are working on the same team with a shared common goal,
Whereas
right?
he's like, it's an eye for an eye. I lost some of my pizza, so I'm gonna let the dog eat your food now.
Yeah, I mean, this is so archaic
You didn't
and
teleport into the house to stop the dog.
odd. Like,
So
I can understand his frustration that she didn't push her chair in, but oh my goodness, you don't let the dog eat her food because of that. You just be like, dog, get away, right? And he's just acting terrible here. I really think so. And here are some of the comments. From the last one was glitter everywhere from the AFK Panda. Mary says the guy never learns, and the AFK Panda says, "Why didn't you do anything?" That's what I want to know. And Jot says the guy is awfully selfish. And Mary says, "You're the jerk. If he fell down the stairs, what would she lay? What would lay in store for the wife?" Oh my goodness.
well, that's what it seems like. It's like
And June says, "I think he's a jerk. I definitely agree with you and Amber." Yeah, I mean, this is just, it's so absurd that someone would be so selfish and be like, haha, you tit for tat. The dog ate my food. Now the dog eats your food.
mm-hmm.
And the AFK Panda says, "You're the jerk. Wife didn't do anything wrong. And it's Harame's rule, definitely." I probably didn't say that right. Harambe is the gorilla.
Yeah.
Hammurabi's rule is definitely. And he does need to grow up. I agree, June. All right. Our next letter is titled, "Am I the jerk for defending my mom to my wife and allowing her to, quote, ruin my son's christening?"
Now OP leaves out an important piece of information in this, so may or may not affect your judgment.
Yeah, this is one that Amber really wanted to
I
cover.
picked it out because this OP's mom sounds like my mom, so.
So Amber wanted to talk about this because she feels like she has a good perspective here because her mom is very similar here. "My mom and my wife have never had a great relationship. My mom has some issues and my wife has zero patience. I'm not even talking about the typical controlling mother-in-law stuff, but more like personal issues. My mom is extremely weird about certain things such as eating and touching people's things, having control over what she wears and her body. She isn't great with social norms, and to be honest, people do coddle her. My grandparents are just burnt out from raising her and don't even care at this point. And her husband is just as happy as long as she's eating enough and doesn't care how bizarrely she behaves. I don't believe in coddling her, but also feel that my wife is controlling sometimes. I believe in giving my mom two choices, with one being that she can either leave or opt out. For example, if she wouldn't wear my color that my wife picked for our wedding, she could just not be in pictures. If she is being rude and refusing to eat, she can leave the room. However, I don't see the point in fighting with her. You are never going to win." Well, recently we had a christening for our son, and my mom showed up in a strapless dress, which is not allowed in my wife's family's church. My mom has never been to the church in her life and didn't think it would be a rule. To be clear, this wasn't some kind of clubbing dress and would have been fine if her shoulders were covered at all. My wife told her that she can't go in like that and offered the mother-in-law a sweater. My mom refused and didn't match her dress and said that she didn't like it. She looked around for something else to wear and then offered to go home and join us for the party later. I thought that was fine, but my wife got mad and said that she was being selfish and acting like an idiot and demanded that she put it on. My mom said no and started whining. My wife accused her of not loving her grandson, and it became a power struggle. People, not my mom, started yelling at my wife. It was awful. I told my wife to leave her alone and said that my mom could put it on or leave, but leaving is a perfectly valid option. My wife just gave me a death stare. My mom said that she would leave and thanked me for being reasonable, which I see as a dig on her part. Eventually, my dad gave her a suit jacket, and I thought everything was fine. But my wife was furious after the fact and said that I sided with my mom and let her ruin our son's christening. She said that I'm a coward and should have demanded that she put the sweater on, and it was ridiculous that she cared more about the sweater than her family. She said that I undermined and embarrassed her in front of everyone, and my mom deserved to be yelled at. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm going to say that OP and his mom are not the jerk because the key piece of information here, I was reading this and I was like, this sounds like the mom's autistic, and OP confirms in the comments that his mom is probably autistic.
Yeah.
And so, I understand the frustration because my mom is just like this. Like, there was one time when my siblings and I all tried to explain to her that the little black dress she had found it was lingerie, literally, but she insisted on wearing it to Christmas dinner, like to our Christmas family event. The important thing to understand is that, like, the mom doesn't necessarily understand the importance of social norms. So that's one thing about autism. And there's all kinds of ways to be autistic. So I'm the kind where, like, I don't necessarily understand social rules, a lot of them, but like I follow them because I don't want to be weird. So dress codes are a lot of times like weird and arbitrary, but if I know I'm supposed to wear a certain thing, I'll do it just to like not make a fuss. But for some people, they really don't value them or understand them. And so I don't think she was trying to be like a petty jerk.
No. I mean, I think it's important to let people not wear stuff if they don't want to wear them. And Mary says, not the jerk. It's not like the christening would be null and void without the mom. Good grief, right? And Jot says the mom is clearly neurodivergent and OP's wife is terrible. And Mary says, sounds like this is in line with OP's usual options. And that really is, right? And the AFK Panda says, not the jerk. He's trying to work out another way that works for everyone. And I agree.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I think that's what's important here is that this wasn't like a life or death situation.
it wasn't.
The mom wasn't choosing, she wasn't loving the family less by making this decision.
That's the thing is like it's also something that matters a lot more to the mom's never been to church, so she may not have known the etiquette and she may not have place as much emphasis on a christening. And so like if it was really important to OP's wife, she probably should have like let her know the dress code beforehand instead of expecting her to just know what the dress code would be.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if you know someone has a problem with certain articles of clothing and whatnot, then you work with them to make sure that they are well aware of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. So I think that if anything, the church is being overly rigid. That this isn't acceptable. It's not like this was a terrible or scandalous thing here. So I think that this is something that they could have bent the rules for, and I don't know why they made such a big fuss about it. But that's my personal opinion. I know that sometimes these things are very important to people, so I'm not trying to basically knock them for that, but I think that they were making too much of a big deal out of it, I think.
Yeah, well, I just find it weird that the mom just assumed that she would know. Because, like, when I think of, like, what you would wear to a church, I wouldn't necessarily rule out strapless dresses. I think a lot of congregations do allow them. Like, it's more about getting you in the door. So, like, I think expecting her to just know, especially where she already has trouble with social norms, it's like...
Yeah, I think it was a bit much to expect. And June says, not the jerk, it was just a dress. All right, let's move on to our next story here. Our next one is titled, Am I a Jerk for Agreeing with Her and her ex and not my sister? Sorry about that. So as a kid, I always looked up to my older sister because she was so cool, pretty, and the popular girl. I always tried to be like her, I dressed like her, I listened to her music, you get the idea. I was popular the first time I stepped through the high school doors because I was basically a copy of her. I was overwhelmed by the attention that I got, but quickly found out that she was mostly popular with only the guys. She dated many of the guys in our high school, and they thought that I would too. I was so embarrassed and had our mom take me out to buy new clothes and everything. Whatever she did, I did the opposite. She wore tons of makeup, I wore none. She listened to certain types of music, I didn't. We went to different colleges. Fast forward to now, Must have figured out that her lifestyle wasn't really healthy, so she stopped dating a bunch of guys and deleted a bunch of those apps. And met Sam. He's a very good looking guy with a great personality and amazing job. He was smart, funny, outgoing, and can own the entire room when he walks in. He grew up in a different city, so his family doesn't live here, but we've met and they're amazing just like him. Sam quickly replaced us as mom's favorite child and became our dad's best friend. He eventually proposed and everyone was over the moon. I was happy for Sis. Well, last week she came to my room not looking like a complete wreck. She was crying so hard that she couldn't even talk. After an hour or so, I calmed her down enough to get the story. Apparently, they were at a party and was mingling separately when he overheard some guys talking about her popularity. Sam joined the group and got her dating history. Two of the guys in that group dated her, and about 4 other guys at the party did too, one of whom works with him, which is why they were there. He heard about the guys laughing and how all the men in the town were depressed when she went away to college but rejoiced when she came back. When they got home, he asked her and she told him the truth, and he left without saying a word. I helped Sis and she's been staying with me for a little while now. She hasn't told anyone and has been trying to get in touch with Sam and his family, but they're all ignoring her. Everyone on our side is super confused because Sam just disappeared. Our cousin, my best friend, pinned me down the other day to ask me what happened. I told her and she was appalled. She called him all sorts of names and insecure. I said I can understand from his view as we live in a small town and it's hard to know many men and your coworkers know your future wife. Then my cousin and I got into it. She said that I should be supporting my sister no matter what. I argued and I said I am supporting her, but supporting doesn't mean I have to agree with her. Now I might lose my best friend. So, and edit, we're all in our 30s, graduated college, and living on our own. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna go with OP is the jerk here. It really is kind of a not very nice thing for her fiance to ditch her.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that OP's acting very judgmental.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. Is like, and
I
I think we can probably assume that OP's like sister wasn't necessarily Sam's first either, and so like,
that's just it. It's like I think Sam is being overly judgmental here too. And it sounds like this was something that she did in high school.
mm-hmm.
And are you really going to hold this against someone who made, indiscretions or maybe poor choices when she was a kid?
Or just
and maybe
I
not
wouldn't even say this poor choices.
Well, yeah,
necessarily.
I'm not necessarily saying poor choices. That was a very poorly phrased thing. I'm just saying like they made decisions that shouldn't really haunt them, and I think that people should mind their own business, and these people who are snickering behind her back are just being overly judgmental as well, and I think that that's just terrible, right? So I think that this just all around there's a lot of terrible people in this story.
Yeah, and so like I think just I lost my train of thought, never mind.
Yeah, so overall I just think that Mary says, wow, way to comfort her. You're the jerk. Why bother to mend your ways if your past comes back to haunt you? But OP's I told you so is just twisting the knife.
Mm-hmm.
It really does feel that way. And Roche J says, same. Some people don't have a lot when they're younger, but seems everything was consensual and like people grow and may decide what they were is not how they want to be as they get older. Yeah. And June says, yes, Brian, that's what I was thinking. Very judgmental. And Roche J says, I understand that it may make Sam uncomfortable, but him acting like that isn't cool. And yeah, I agree. I think that this is just, he's not acting good at all here.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what does it matter? It doesn't impact their current relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And the panda says, you guys are in your 30s. Don't hold this against her. You're the jerk. Yeah, really. I mean, it just seems like these people they all need to find better hobbies,
mm-hmm.
right? And our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Making My Girlfriend an Adult Meal for Once? Amber loves this one. She really wanted this one, so let's read it. I'm a 30-year-old male. My girlfriend is a 25-year-old female, and we've been together for 5 years. Everything is good. She has some weird eating habits that have never really impacted our relationship. She'll order a burger and then she'll just eat the middle part. We'll cook a pasta and instead of sauce, she'll either have it plain or have ketchup on it. Once she had beans. All of her meals are just bland. She will not have any spice. We will have salmon and she'll smash the salmon up with mayonnaise. She'll eat shredded cheese in a sandwich and won't eat the cheese if it's in a block shape. She'll eat mac and cheese, but only Kraft or Cheeto mac and cheese. Anything homemade or doesn't taste like cheap plastic cheese that she won't eat. She doesn't like it. She usually does the cooking, but we've got my family around. I'm not cooking 2 separate meals for like 9 people, so I cooked the pasta and then just dumped it in the sauce. One night, not going to make a difference. I asked her how it was, and she just shrugged and said, I thought you would know my preferences by now. It was one night, but I guess it would have been easy to set some pasta aside. I just didn't think one night would be a massive deal. If it were an allergy or an intolerance, I would have 1000% considered it. She's not that upset with me, but keeps joking that we can't have family over anymore because then I might just make and forget that I'm in a relationship again. Am I a jerk? She's got no intolerances, etc., just preferences. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say Opie is a jerk. Like, don't ask questions you don't want answers to. You know, she even ate the food, even though you know she doesn't like it that way.
Well, and then why even ask her how she liked it?
I think he wanted to prove that like the adult option is the superior one, which like this is just some weird gatekeeping stuff. And it sounds to me like it may be a sensory thing, because you know she likes her food very bland, and she eats the middle of a burger. The edges have a different texture. And so just be like, dismiss her and be like, you're a child because you don't eat the specific foods that I think you should be eating. It's like, why do you care?
Yeah. And the panda says, you're the jerk. I think you should talk with her about this. I think that's fair. I think, you know, communication is a really good place to start on issues like these. And June says, yes, you're the jerk. Let her eat what she wants. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have hurt OP, it wouldn't have killed OP for one night to set aside a little bit of extra pasta.
It's like pasta is so easy to put, like it wasn't like an elaborate meal. It was like you just put a little bit of pasta without sauce and then pour the sauce on.
Yeah, I just feel like this wasn't even that much of an ask, and then he wants to make a big deal out of it. It feels like, and then when things didn't go the way he wanted, he just is kind of getting upset about it. And she sounds like she didn't even care that much. But she is making these jokes at the end, so I do get where he would be getting frustrated. And Mary says, I can't imagine a relationship that doesn't involve sharing a meal. No jerks here, just doesn't sound like a compatibility is in the cards. And I mean, that might be fair. Maybe they aren't compatible in this one particular way. So, all right. Let's move on to the next letter. Am I the jerk because I'm going to a concert without my wife? Some context. My favorite band is coming into town this week, and we've been planning on going to this concert for a long time. The band, my wife introduced me to, and is now my favorite band. She takes pride in that and wants us to experience the concert together. She also loves them a lot. Here is the problem. My wife is 36 weeks pregnant. 36 weeks pregnant. She doesn't and probably won't be able to go to the concert because of the loud music, overcrowding, etc. When I say that I will still go, she is furious and frequently cries about it. She's pregnant, so I understand the crying. I can't help but feel as if she is being selfish, and just because she can't enjoy the concert doesn't mean that I can't as well. What do you folks think? Am I the jerk? Edit. Okay, this blew up. I just want to further add some information. First of all, I see everyone getting upset at me. I understand, but please take into consideration that the real reason I came to this subreddit, not because I feel that I'm right, I'm asking because I wanted to seek options. I tried to sell the tickets, but no one has bought them. I put them up for sale 2 weeks ago and the tickets totaled $600. I asked all of our friends and they're busy, so I didn't want them to go to waste. I said we planned for a long time. That's the case. Since this is her first pregnancy, she didn't know how she would feel, and now she isn't comfortable going. I also want to add that we planned this with a group of friends, so not just us. I didn't feel the need to add this information because personally, I didn't think it would blow up. For those of you who are asking, this band is a very niche band and hasn't been toured in years, especially since COVID. She isn't worried about preterm labor, just upset that I would go without her. Alright, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I mean, I'm gonna say Opie's a bit of a jerk. I understand not wanting to lose money and wanting to see your favorite band, but this is one of her favorite bands too, and she really wanted to enjoy this with you as a couple.
Well,
like,
and also she's 36 weeks
and
pregnant.
yes,
I mean,
like she's probably not having a very good time at the moment.
she's about to go, right? I mean, unless she's late, but I mean, usually pregnancy is like 40 weeks, right? And
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, it's 40 weeks, isn't it? Yeah,
Something in that neighborhood.
I'm apparently having a brain fart because I'm pretty sure it's a 40 weeks thing, but I could be wrong here. It's 9 months. So, and yeah, it just feels like this is something that he should be supporting her with and being there by her side and not enjoying something that he knows that's going to make her envious. I feel like certainly he has a valid point, but she also has a valid point here. I can understand why he would want to enjoy this band, but I really feel like he should be by her side and be supportive.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mary says, not the jerk. If OP offered and the wife turned it down, when I was suffering from pregnancy heartburn, I didn't forbid my husband from eating spicy food. I think that's fair. And June says, I think that he's a jerk. She's definitely feeling left out, which I think is also a fair opinion. And the panda says, what's everyone's favorite band? Mine's The Strokes. I would say Queen's my favorite band.
I don't even know. Like, I can tell you my favorite band when I was 9 was the Backstreet Boys, but like, I don't know what my favorite band is now.
Yeah, June says 39 weeks. So yeah, 39, 40 weeks, something like that. So overall, I mean, I think there's a lot of diverse opinions there, and I don't think anyone's necessarily wrong. I think that there's certainly like, I would just be worried that she would go into labor or whatnot because she's so close to the due date anyways. So I know that anything past a certain date is like pretty risky all in all for someone to go into labor. So, and Mary says rush. All right, folks. Why don't we move on to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for saying that my girlfriend thinks that she knows better than the culinary professionals and expressing my disapproval of it? I'm a 26-year-old male, and I live with my girlfriend, a 27-year-old female, of 4 years. And we try to split all of the grocery shopping and cooking duties equally. We both like cooking as well and pay for subscriptions to several recipe websites, Epicurious, New York Times, and consider an investment because sometimes there's really creative stuff in there, especially since we've had to cut back on food spending recently and eating out isn't that viable. It's nice to have some decent options if we're feeling in the mood for something better than usual. I make it sound like we're snobs, but we eat box macaroni like once a week.
Speaking of box macaroni, Annie now has puppies and kittens mac and cheese, and I'm really excited for that.
Because we work different hours, even though we're both work from home, we almost never cook together. So I didn't find out until recently that she makes tweaks to basically every recipe that she cooks. I had a suspicion for a while now that she did this because I would use the same recipe and make something that she previously did, and it would turn out noticeably different. But I brushed it off as her having more experience than me. But last week, I had a vet's day off on the day, and she always has off anyways. And we decided to cook together because the chance to do it doesn't come up often. I like to have the recipe on my tablet, and while I was prepping stuff, I kept noticing how she would do things out of order and make substitutions for no reason and barely even glance at the recipe. I got to the point where I was convinced that she was going off the rails, so I would try to gently point out when she would do things like put the red peppers in when the recipe doesn't call for it, or twice the salt. She dismissed it, saying that we both prefer spicier foods, or that the recipe didn't call for enough salt to make it taste good because they were trying to make it look healthier for a nutritional section. It's not like I think her food tastes bad or is too salty, but I genuinely don't understand what the point of the recipe is or paying attention to the subs if she's going to just make stuff up. And there's always the chance that she's going to ruin it and waste food if she changes something. I got annoyed and said that the recipe was written and it was written for a reason. And she said that she knows what we like I don't. So I said that she doesn't know better than the professional chefs who make the recipes that we use, and neither do I, obviously. She got really offended and said that I always did this, and when I asked what this is, she said that I also get mad at her once because she makes all of the bits left over after cooking it into a weird Frankenstein meal. I barely remember this until she brought it up that time that she made parm grilled cheese, and I wouldn't even eat it because she mixed tomato paste, parmesan, and a bit of mayo to make a cream cheese filling because it's all we had. Yeah, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, even though she claimed it tasted good. She called me stiff and closed-minded, so I said that I don't get why she couldn't just follow directions. Even kids can follow a recipe, and it's been almost a week and we're both sore about it. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
You're the jerk. Like, recipes are written with a general audience in mind. They're not tailored to your specific taste.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend, like, knows your taste preference better than these recipe writers.
Well, that's just it. It's like a recipe is a guideline. He's treating it like it's a contract that you must make it. It's like it's a magic spell. If you accidentally add a little too much salt in, you're going to summon demons, and you don't want to summon demons in the kitchen. It's terrible, right?
Brian would know from experience.
It's terrible.
He's the one who doesn't follow the recipes.
Yeah, I don't follow recipes. I treat them as guidelines. I add what I want to add, and that's that. And I mean, it comes out good like 99% of the time.
Well,
and
exactly.
if she isn't wasting food, then he has nothing to worry about.
Well, and he seems upset that they come out better when she makes them this way. Like,
Yeah.
You need to make them like this so my meals taste the same way, so you can't be the better cook.
Yeah, well, and also his insinuation that it does come out better because he's like, oh, I just assume that she's more experienced and it comes out better, basically.
Yeah, it's like...
And now he's upset about this.
So it's like, so you are enjoying the food more, so you're mad. It's like...
It's a really bizarre, weird thing, a weird hill to die on, if you ask me. And Mary says, you're the jerk. Come on, OP, step outside the box. What's the point of trying something new if you won't let the girlfriend try something new on her own? OP admits that it's a tweak, not a radical substitution. And June says, yes, the jerk. I always change things here and there. And I think that's actually pretty common for people who cook a lot to change things because you know what you like.
Well, and she's right about the salt too, because a lot of people can't have a lot of salt. And so a lot of like things like salts and fats and stuff, sometimes they'll modify with like healthier versions. And if you know you like salt or butter and it's not a problem for your diet, like you can easily substitute and, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't we switch on over to tea time? All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. Let me know what kind of tea that you think I've been sipping on this whole time is. And Ever's got a joke here. You can see she's picked up the joke book.
What do ghosts eat for breakfast?
Oh, ghosts eat blueberry pancakes for breakfast because they like scaring people with pancakes.
Dreaded wheat.
Oh, they eat dreaded wheat? I think we've heard that one before.
Probably.
And it doesn't surprise me that I would not remember the punchline at all. Oh, and the panda has something to add to that last one. Both of you are somewhat jerks, but OP more of a jerk. You should let people make what they want, but the wife should probably talk to OP about this, but they're so small that it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, Mega Mint is one guess. And Amber has some water over here.
I have tea over there, which is, of course, Mega Mint.
Do we have any other... Excuse me. Do we have any other jokes here? So that we can entertain people while they make their guesses. Put your bets on the board, folks. We're putting all the chips in today.
Did you hear about the girl who goes out with the violinist?
He likes to whine a lot because he's got the world's smallest violin.
He strings her along.
Oh no, that's terrible. Mary's glass is empty. Mega Mint for Brian. Dreaded wheat. Oh, and also the blueberry pancakes. And another Mega Mint. And June has fruit tea.
Passion fruit.
Passion fruit tea. Oh, yes. So, I have a tea here. I will say that I have licorice spice. I'm sorry, folks. I usually have mint for the live streams, don't I? And I think that everyone was kind of counting on that. They were all hedging their bets that the live stream would continue the Mega Mint tradition. But sadly, it's licorice spice. Not sadly, I like it, right? I'm not torturing myself over here with licorice spice. All right. Let's do one more, and then maybe we'll see where we're at for time. We got like 10 more minutes. Oh, the foam insulation things are falling down. Licorice Spice curses again. Our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for asking my daughter for access to her blog account?" I am a 53-year-old male, and my daughter is a 15-year-old female, and she has run a film review blog for the past month or so, and it looks like it's doing pretty well. She gets a lot of people who comment and like her posts. I run a blog myself about musings on life, religion, and other topics, and to help promote my self-published books. My children in the past have helped me out with this blog, reading over the post before I publish it, so on and so forth. It gets some views, but I would love to have more, of course. My wife and I make a note to be very open with our children about all of our passwords. This is for just in case moments because we have nothing to hide. We tell them bank account passwords and so on, and my daughter definitely has the password to my blog. I asked my daughter if I could have her blog's password, so one day I could log in to see her stats. I was curious, and she said that she was not comfortable giving me her password. Yes, I admit I got angry because what does she mean she's not comfortable? It came across as very disrespectful to me, and considering that I gave her access to every account that I have. I told her that if she's not comfortable giving me her password, then she doesn't need to be using computers with our Wi-Fi. She later gave it to me. I just want to know, am I the jerk for giving her passwords?
I want to say that OP is the jerk. Like, there isn't a good reason. Like, kids should be able to have, like, you can see everything that's on her blog, right? Like, it's not like you can't access her public blog.
Or if you even want to see the stats, you could just ask her to see them.
Yeah, you could ask her to send you a screenshot or something, but it seems really weird that you have to have her password for that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of getting the vibe that he's a little bit jealous of his daughter's blog success and he wants to know how successful it is. And
Yeah.
she may be worried that it's going to become a competition because he's like, there are some things in here that kind of have it sounding like I want to see how to improve my blog more, and like he wants to kind of like try and use hers to do that, and like
I think this is yeah. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think this is a whole matter of like consent, right? He consents to have the password shared, and that shouldn't come with the obligation of tit for tat type of thing, right? She should be able to have private parts of her life if she wants to. This is like giving someone the keys to a house and saying, if you want to come into the house in case of an emergency, you're welcome to. And then demanding that they give you the keys to their house because you want to be able to come into their house just in case of an emergency.
Right. And so, like, yeah, it's fine if you want to share your passwords everywhere, but it doesn't mean that everyone is then in turn entitled to give you their passwords. And it also doesn't mean they're hiding anything.
Yeah.
They may just not want you to have access to their accounts because what if you wanted to start changing her posts or, you know, she may be, or she just doesn't want you in her accounts in general because it's her private stuff.
But I also think that this is really odd that he's giving bank account information to his kids. Like, that does not seem like a good idea. I mean, not that he shouldn't trust his children, but these are certain things. There are certain passwords and certain accounts that you really just want to keep as locked down as possible. The more people that know these passwords and whatnot, the more risk that they have, right? So I think that this is just like, certainly he has his choices and he can decide what he wants private and what not to have private, but he shouldn't impose that same standard onto his daughter or his other children.
And expect the whole family to have the same password sharing thing that he does.
Yeah, I think that's a very unreasonable perspective, and she should be able to share passwords if she wants to, but she should also be able to keep those private. And June says, you fooled us all, of course, with the Mega Mint. And also, the AFK Panda apparently is going to fill up their empty glass with Earl Grey or Madagascar Vanilla, which both sound lovely. Mary says, You're the jerk. No on passwords. OP asked. Daughter answered. I agree, right? And the panda says, you're the jerk. She isn't comfortable with it, so that's so unsafe. Also, that's on so unsafe, right? I agree. I mean, it does seem a bit unsafe to share every single password like that. And Jot says, it seems really weird to give your children the bank login info. Doesn't it? That is just like the striking thing about this whole thing is like, I give my kids bank login information. It's like, no.
Yeah, well, as a kid, I didn't give my parents like my passwords to anything unless I like. There was one time where I missed my bus. I had to take the city bus to the university, and so I had to give my mom my password to my email so she could like message my professor because this was before smartphones. But like, I just didn't give them passwords unless it was an absolute need.
Yeah, Mary says consent exactly. The panda says that's the biggest part, and June says he's the jerk. Good idea about the screenshot. That was a good analogy. So yeah, I think that this is again like it's really a matter of consent. Really is, right? I think we have enough time for one more and only one more. So we'll do this. I don't remember what this one is about.
It's a good one.
So it's a good one to end on. Our last letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Uninviting My Sister-in-Law to Thanksgiving? I'm a 36-year-old female, and my husband is a 40-year-old male, and we are hosting Thanksgiving for the first time ever this year. Our older nephew, a 20-year-old male, has recently come out as gay and asked if he could bring his boyfriend that he's been seeing for a few months. We said of course. Last night, my mother-in-law called and said that my sister-in-law would not be coming. When I asked her why, she said it was because our nephew was bringing the boyfriend. She's not blood related to him. It's on my side of the family, but she's been around him most of his life. I told her that it was her choice and ended the conversation. This morning, sister-in-law calls and asked if I told my nephew not to come. I was shocked and asked why would I have her do that? Or why would I have done that? She went on about how she would be able to be with us for the rest of the family without being uncomfortable. At that point, I got so mad, I said, what do you think? That they're going to do stuff on top of the turkey in front of Grammy? Wow, that's pretty explicit. That's definitely not YouTube safe or friendly. And she started to cry and I hung up. I've gotten calls from family all day about how I shouldn't have handled it that way. My husband thinks it's funny, but his mom, whom I'm very close with, is very upset. So am I the jerk? All right, folks. What do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. She chose, she's making the choice not to be there. Good on you for supporting your nephew. He deserves to be able to be there with his partner like anyone else.
Yeah.
And if she's uncomfortable, she just doesn't have to go.
Well, and I think this is a matter of she's uncomfortable and she's trying to make other people fall to her standard for that matter, right? And I think it's fine to be uncomfortable. I mean, I think that this is, of course, I like a homophobic attitude. I certainly don't think people should be put into, it's difficult, right? If she's not going to be comfortable and she's going to make jabs around the family, then I think that it's best for her not to go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but like no one's forcing her to go. She's choosing not to go.
Exactly.
Opie didn't uninvite her. She's just like, I'm not comfortable. You have to cater to me. Kick your nephew out, even though he's family too.
Yeah, and I think
I'm the more important family.
That's what it feels like she's saying. She says she's more important and that her needs and wants are the ones that need to be honored more than her nephew. And I think that's a very short-sighted type of view to have. And Ajat says the family seems rather unsupportive. Mary says not the jerk, but it doesn't sound like the uninvitation was necessary. If nephew is coming, sister-in-law won't. And June says not the jerk. She can invite anyone she wants to her home. And Ajat says is the other person. Yeah. The AFK Panda says, not the jerk, support everyone who is there or don't go. Homophobia isn't accepted anymore. Exactly. And Mary says, sister-in-law's doesn't. Sounds like the life of the party anyway. She does sound like the life of the party. So, yeah, I mean, I think that one's a nice positive one to end on. And I think that the moral of the story is, don't be homophobic. Don't be homophobic and support your family members, of course, and be good to people, right? if you can't look past people's differences for the holiday, then maybe, sulk in your room and don't bring your misery upon other people. So, I don't know. Maybe that isn't the moral of the story at all. But what we do know is that it is time for the outro. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for everyone for joining us today on this live stream. I really had a lot of fun. Hopefully you did too. I know it was so short notice, and thanks to Amber for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you're all having a great holiday so far. I know some of you may not be out for work or on vacation yet, but hopefully you are soon. So yeah, but thanks again for joining us. Mary says it's been fun. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Happy Thanksgiving, Mary. We'll just kind of haunt the background of this video for a couple moments while we read people's comments.
Apparently these are my ghost hands. This means I'm a ghost now.
And the panda says goodbye, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us. Bye, everyone. I hope you're all having a good evening. See you and Amber tomorrow. Bye, June. We'll see you later. I'm glad you were able to catch the live stream. All right. And Jot's waving bye. Bye, Jot.